Greetings, everyone. This is Troy LaRaviere. I'm a candidate for mayor of Chicago, and this is another installment in our series on the Jason Van Dyke trial. Van Dyke is on trial for the murder of Laquan McDonald after shooting him 16 times and having that shooting caught on police dash cam video, which the city was forced to release as a result of a lawsuit. We're doing this video series because there's so many issues in the Van Dyke trial that are central to Chicago, the kind of Chicago we are and the kind of Chicago we want to be. I think the two main issues that hold this city back are political corruption on one side and racism, and segregation on the other side. Our elected leaders and people running for office don't address them enough, and I want to use this as an opportunity to begin to speak frankly and openly about the racism, and segregation that exists in this city that holds so many people back. And so I'm at the Van Dyke trial, and Van Dyke comes out of the courtroom and out of the courthouse, and he's flanked by police officers on both sides. And as he comes down the stairs, there's this gentleman who begins to berate Van Dyke, calling him the murderer that he is. And the police step in between the young man and Van Dyke to protect Van Dyke. This young man who was outraged at the murder of Laquan McDonald was Latino. And it reminded me that when the press talks about this, they always frame it as, the mayor's going to lose black support because of how he handled the Laquan McDonald case, how he handled the video, how he protected the officer who murdered Laquan McDonald. And I take issue with that because Laquan McDonald was a human being. And if you consider yourself a human being, you should be disgusted with his murder. You should be disgusted with the attempt to cover it up. You should be disgusted with how this system attempted to hide the murder of another human being. They talk about how he was going to lose black votes. He should have lost everyone's vote. All of us should have been disgusted with that. And when we talk about it in this racialized way, what we end up doing is, when we talk about this case as if white people are not going to care about it, we're dehumanizing white people. By implying that they won't care about the murder of another human being. And we're dehumanizing black people in the eyes of white people because we're implying that the life of this young black boy is not worth your outrage. Right? And it is worth their outrage. And this narrative gets fed mainly by our politicians and our media. And so I said all of that to make the point, number one, that every life is worth our concern. Whatever group you assign that life to, whatever religion, whatever race, whatever gender, that life is worth our concern as human beings. But on a bigger scale, I made the point because I understand that to the people in power in this country, there's only one difference that matters, that their ownership and we're labor. And in order to exploit labor and take the wealth that labor produces, because that's what creates wealth, labor. But labor doesn't get a fair share of the wealth we create. And in order to get more than their fair share, ownership has to divide labor. That the owners have to divide the workers to keep them divided against one another. And they use many different tools to keep us divided. They use religion. They use immigration status. They use gender. And one of the main tools that they've used throughout the centuries to keep working people divided against each other is race. And so through the mainstream media, either consciously or unconsciously, they keep pushing these narratives out there that keep working people divided, that attempt to get us to psychologically separate ourselves from other human beings who should be our natural allies. But there's so many people across this city who I've seen come together to upset the setup of racism and segregation, to upset the setup of anti-immigration propaganda and Islamophobia. And so no matter what the outcome of this trial, I hope that we as working people continue to upset the setup, to embrace our common humanity and move our city forward together.